The fuck is that thing at? Okay. Shall I add a happy fucking emoji here? What is that fucking thing? What is it? It's a ridiculous looking motherfucker. All right, put the motherfucker. What is that thing anyway? What's it supposed to be? All right, well, we'll put it up. We'll try it out. We'll see what happens. All right. And we'll dump this. We'll dump this shit here. This goes right away. Close this. Cam, I see you're here already, my brother. John. Oh, chatting with Stacks. What's up, bro? What is up, big guy? I'm going in here, man. What's up, bro? How's it going, Stacks? Stacks, I'm trying to ask a question here, man. On my thing here, it says, says that my money is. Well, hold up a minute. Let me look for it real quick. The hell is it? What does it say? This shit. It says I've made the payment minimum, right? But it doesn't say I'm getting paid on the 21st. So maybe this is for next month. Is that it? I mean, it usually says if you're going to get paid on the 21st, it usually says that you can expect to be paid on the 21st. But this, but it doesn't say it here. So I don't know. What do I got Cam up there for, man? That's not what the fuck I wanted up there. Jesus fucking Christ. What the fuck? The fuck am I doing here? All right, remove. All right, now put this thing here. All right, that's what I want. Okay, there we go. All right, fellas, I'm back again, and this time, I want to do a show about Vito Rizzuto, one of the greatest, as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest gangsters in the history of gangsters. Man he was all about the gangster shit. All right. Anyway, starting out, let me explain something. A lot of people don't realize the biggest migration of Italians into the Northern Hemisphere wasn't into the United States. I would have thought it would have been, the United States. I would have thought that the biggest migration would have come to New York or the East Coast, anywhere on the East Coast. It turns out that the biggest migration of Italians into the North American hemisphere is to Canada. Always has been. There's trillions of them up there. And to make a long story short, the mafia got its foothold in Canada long before they were in the United States. So, or about the same time, let's put it that way. Now, drugs in the mafia. back in the day, you used to hear all this shit about, the mob wasn't, you're not allowed to sell drugs, but of course everybody did under sly and all this shit. Well, out of the five families, uh, you got the Bananas, you got the fucking Gambinos, the Lucchese's, uh, Columbos, and who the hell's the other one? I forget. Um, Columbos, Chasey. Anyway, there's another one, right? But they kicked the Bananos to the curb. They wouldn't allow them to sit down with the other four families uh, because of their involvement in drug dealing. They were just they were known for being drug dealers, and they were shameless and didn't give a fuck. Um, if you look at the history, when they killed that guy, what was his name, at Joe and Mary's restaurant in Bushwick, Brooklyn, when he was on the patio and they came up with the guns and they blew him away. What the fuck was his name? I forget. That was all about who? That was heroin. That was the heroin. He was the biggest heroin plug in the United States at the time. And he just he wanted to run the Bonanno crime family. He wanted to be the boss of the Bananos. That's why and he was a ruthless fucking guy and, all this shit, right? So they got rid of him. All this was about drugs, man. Okay. Heroin specifically heroin. Okay. They were bringing lots of heroin in from like the 1940s, 50s. I might have been 30s. I'm not quite sure. But the thing I want to make everybody aware of is the fact that, these drugs were coming from Europe. You've heard of the French Connection. Those were the guys, they were tied in with the mafia, the Italian mafia, the Sicilian mafia too. Okay. And a lot, like all the drugs in the French Connection, they weren't coming into New York. They were coming into Canada, and they were getting it, and they would send them from Canada down to New York. Okay. Everything was, Canada was a big part of the mafia, big part of it. And we here in America don't pay that much attention to what they do up there. But if you did pay attention, you would know that, this is what's happening, man. They were the plug from day one, and starts out with a guy named Niccolo Rizzuto. He was like the father figure, right? They come from Cattolica Icleria. It's a town in Sicily. Cattolica means Catholic. I don't know what the fuck Icleria means, but that's where they come from. Cattolica Icleria. And there's a bunch of them came over, and they were thorough, old school mafiosi. You know what I mean? And they set up a nice pipeline. They made money, sending shit down to New York, getting rich. Okay. So along comes Vito Rizzuto. He's the son of Niccolo. Okay. There may have been other sons, but he's the main guy, right? And he's been a little gangster growing up and shit. He got busted for an arson case when he was young. Got my little notes here. He He was born in 1946, Vito was. And he got sentenced for arson. He got like 18 months back in the day. Back in the day, when the hell was it? 1972. He did 18 months for an arson case. Okay. And he never did any more time after that until late in life. And I'll tell you about that. I think he was like 60 before he ever did any more time. But we'll get to that. Okay. So Vito gets married in 1946. He gets married in 1966 to his wife. I think his wife's name Libertina. Anyway, he's plugged in with the mafia in New York, the Bonanos. Okay. He is sent down. His father sends him down. Just, you guys all know about the movie. The hell's the name of it? With the fuck is this thing? I always my mind, where the three captains get murdered. Right? You know which movie I'm talking about, right? Not The French Connection, no. Yeah. By the way, J-Dog, Carmine Galante was the guy that got killed at Joe and Mary's restaurant. That was the guy. He was the big plug until they wiped him out. Yeah, so Al Pacino and was it Donnie Brasco? Okay, there you go, J-Dog. There you go. Donnie Brasco. That was a true story. All right. Well, when they killed them three captains, one of the guys that was there was Vito Rizzuto. Vito Rizzuto was one of the guys that was down there and helped them kill the three captains. He was sent down there by his father. Okay, what year was that? That was in, let me see. I think it was 81. 81. Okay, so he was born in 46, 56, 66, 76. He was about 35 years old when he did that. He came down, and that was how they settled it. They settled shit. They settled that shit. They wanted Joe Messino to be the boss. Everybody was down with that. Oh, that's John again, man. Anyway, we're talking about some real shit here, all right? Fuck that. So anyway, they get that cleaned up. I've seen a picture, okay, where Joe Messino was at I don't know if it was some wedding or something. It was some shindig up in Montreal, where he was a guest of Vito Rizzuto and his family. All right. Fuck are you talking about? Anyway. He goes up there. And by the way, with him in that picture is what the fuck is that kid's name? Vinny Gorgeous. Vinny Gorgeous is sitting right next to him. Okay. At that time, okay, so Bobby Messino, Bobby Messina was about, I don't know, about 37 at this time. Rizzuto was about 35. But fucking little old, what's his name? Vinny Basciano, he was a kid, man. He was like 20 years old or something, like a baby. He was just trying to get into the mob. But for some reason, uh, Bobby Messina took him up there with him. Like he must have been like his protege or something. You know what I mean? Uh, that tells you a lot, man, about this kid Basciano. That he was like an up and coming motherfucker, in the mob, and he was, if he was under the wing of Joe Messina at that age, you know, yeah, he was quite the fucking, he was quite the up and comer at that point, right? And it really kind of blew my mind seeing him sitting there all the way up in Canada at a family function. I don't know whose wedding it was. It wasn't Vito's, because Vito, that was long. Yeah, Vito had been married, man, and all this shit, right? So anyway, they started plugging, man, and they were just pushing major fucking heroin down there, and it was a lot of heroin. I mean, they were doing other things too, but the thing was, man, there was a guy by the name of George Shasha. Now, it don't sound like an Italian name, but he was an Italian. Trust me. He was from Sicily. He was from Cattolica e Claria, just like the rest of these guys, right? And like he was like Vito's point man down in New York. He was like, they loved him. He was like part of their family, but he hung out in New York, and he had like a lot of respect and shit, right? He was an old timer. He knew all the rules. He had a lot of fucking respect coming from all the people and shit, right? And eventually, Joe Messina sees what's going on, and like a lot of people in charge of mafia families, he gets worried, man. Joe Messina's tripping. Like, could George? They call him George from Canada. His name is Shasha. Sounds weird, but that's what his name was, Shasha. And he was getting all this respect, and Joe Messina was tripping. Like, man, this guy could, essentially, he might form a faction. A faction of my soldiers might go with him. He was worried about that. I guess just like Nicky from Philadelphia, he did the same thing. A lot of these guys, they get worried, man, when they get in these positions that somebody's going to usurp their authority. Somebody that's popular and shit, and they'll go have him killed, man. And that's what he did to Scarfo, right? So it's not unusual to see, So they kill this fucking dude, right, and leave his body in the street. And now they're worried about Vito, because like they got to do business with Vito. Vito, they don't want to, they wanted to get rid of Shaja, right, because he was scared of him. But he didn't want to alienate Vito, because Vito, was a plug, and he didn't want him getting mad because it would fuck up a lot of their business. You feel me? So anyway, they left him in the street. They try to make it look like some opposing drug dealers and shit. And Joe Messina told, I think it was Vinny Gorgeous. He told him, or one of his guys, you know, he told him, he said, "Hey man, you know, tell him that we don't know who did the killing and shit, and tell him we're gonna make him a captain. We're gonna give him a captain badge, you know, within our family." And Vito looked at him like, "Are you serious, motherfucker? You think I believe you?" You know, he knew that these guys bumped him off. He knew. And as far as a fucking a captain stripes, he was already a king. I don't need these people are bitches down here to him. You know what I'm saying? So I think Vito, yeah, you're right. I think Vito's father got whacked. Niccolo got whacked. I forgot. Man, yeah, that's right. He got whacked, right? So anyway, you know, Bobby Messino was a double crossing fat piece of shit. Okay. He was just, you know, he killed a lot of people too, you know. I think he was involved in, like, him and his brother-in-law together killed like 7 people, you know. And then plus all the people they had killed, you know, in a shot caller type situation. So Vito just said, "What the fuck? I don't need your fucking captain. My own fuck. I'm a boss. I'm not a captain. I'm a boss up here. I don't need you fucking clowns." You know what I mean? And what came to pass was what the fuck happened to this motherfucker? Yeah, what ended up happening was when Joey Messino gets busted, he flips. We all know about this. The fat piece of shit died like about a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago. When he flipped, all right, he took down Vinny Basciano, his protege. Now Vinny's doing life, and he copped to the triple homicide of the 3 captains. And he told them where the bodies were buried, and he told them that Vito was one of the guys. So now Vito's like 60 years old. They arrest him up in Canada, you know, bring him down to New York and give him like 10 years. All right. And by the time he gets out of prison, he lived about another year or so. Apparently he had lung cancer, and he died at the age of 67, right? But what's crazy was while I was, you know, reading all this shit, and it's really intense, I got to tell you, the shit and all the wars they're going through up in Canada. You know, he died at the age of 67. Now his son runs this shit, right? I forgot his son's name. We'll ask Google. Right? His son. What is Vito Rizzuto's son's name?
According to Wikipedia, his eldest son, Niccolo Rizzuto, Nick Jr., named after his grandfather, was born on the 4th of December 1967. He was shot 6 times and killed near his car in the Montreal borough of Notre Dame de Grasse on December 28, 2009.
Damn. I killed his son too, huh? So his son, Niccolo, named after the grandfather, he got killed in 2009. But I thought there was another one. What happened to the junior? Son, he was shot and killed near his car. That was, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. What the fuck? Okay. Wait a minute. Now, stop. There's another son, Leonardo Rizzuto, who's still alive and is running the fucking show. All right. But he gets shot too. They shot him in the leg or something while he was in his car. All right. And they got a couple of guys for that, I guess. But what blew my fucking mind, man, was they turned all their money into legitimate businesses and shit. The Rizzuto empire is now worth $3.5 billion. This is money that was made. Uh, Started out. I mean, they did the fucking thing that they were supposed to do. They were gangsters. They invested in businesses, and their businesses grew, and they still continue to sell drugs and make money and they just blew up, man. They fucking formed an empire. I mean, it's amazing. It, it blows away just about anything that we've ever heard of anybody doing it in the United States. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers really got it going, man. You know. Yeah, so I'm gonna read up on this a little bit later because I knew the son had got shot, and that was kind of recently, like within when the hell was it? He got shot when? When the fuck did he get shot? March 15th. When the fuck was it though? Let me find out. All right, when was this shot? It was officers squad. Fuck, it was in it was like 2003, just like last year or something, right? Wow. Yeah, the drama continues, my brothers, and I think it's pretty cool, man. I think it's probably one of the coolest stories in mafia history. You know what I'm saying? And so, what else is new? Oh yeah, a little update, man, on my story yesterday. I was talking about Jive Roberts, and John Greshner in the cell together. Jive passed away, like I think last year. He was doing natural life for 6 murders, conspiracy murders, from the Texas AB. Anyway, fucking guy couldn't stay out of his own way. He was trouble he was trouble his whole life, man. Oh man. And that's about it, man. Oh, Niccolo died in two. Niccolo died, or no? Vito died in 2010 at the age of 67. Yeah, that was it, man. That was the story. So very interesting. Very interesting. How did everybody like that, huh? You guys got to come up with more topics for me to discuss here. All right. I'm trying to get Bobby on tomorrow. Bobby Castile. And yeah, we'll figure out what else we want to talk about then, huh? Tuesday, I got um, Pete. Pete early. Hope everybody tunes in for that. I think it's going to be 8 o'clock Tuesday night. We'll chat with old Pete, see what the fuck he has to say. Yeah, that's true, man. Vito did spend time in the Dominican Republic doing business. I don't know what kind of business. There's a lot of good heroin down there too, man. That's probably one of the fucking. That's a plug state right there. That's a plug, you know, state down there in the Mediterranean, or not in the Caribbean. You know. But anyway, guys, that's about it for now. I've been on here for 30 minutes. Um, I guess that's it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.